U.S. President Joe Biden and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu have spoken on the phone for the first time in weeks. Israeli officials say the talks focused on plans for a retaliatory strike on Iran following its ballistic missile attack on Israel last week. After the call, Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant said the strike would be deadly, precise, and surprising. President Biden has publicly urged Netanyahu not to attack Iran's nuclear program or its oil infrastructure. DW Chief International Editor Richard Walker is in Washington. He told us more about the discussions between Israel and the U.S. regarding Iran.
What is clear from the U.S. side is that they want to avoid Israel's response being escalatory, that if we get into a tit-for-tat situation, which is the risk here, what's very important from the U.S. perspective is that those tit-for-tat cycles don't escalate, they don't get more serious, but rather that there is an attempt to kind of dial down successively if there is going to be a tit-for-tat cycle here. So that is very much the U.S. perspective, and Biden has even publicly urged the Israelis not to go after Iran's nuclear program, which of course is a major concern of the Israelis. Also, he suggested that he doesn't think it would be a good idea for the Israelis to go after Iran's oil installations. So Biden kind of trying to rein in Netanyahu there, and I think it's going to be a real test of how bad their relationship has got, to see what the Israeli response is after those warnings from Biden, whether Netanyahu respects those boundaries that Biden has set in public, or whether he goes ahead and mounts an attack on that kind of level anyway. And I mean, as you mentioned earlier, I mean, we know that the relationship has been in difficulty. These two men have not been getting on. They've had a difficult relationship for a long period. That's pretty well reported. But as we've seen over the period of the last few months, over and over again, we've seen a process of the Americans trying to say, let's de-escalate, let's try and find a ceasefire in Gaza, let's try and find a ceasefire with Hezbollah. And each time the Netanyahu government overstepping and pushing ahead and saying, no, we need to take these opportunities to ensure our security. So a real litmus test, I think, of the US-Israeli relationship as we see what happens in this strike, which we assume could be imminent at this point.
Well, let's get a perspective on this now from Tel Aviv. Journalist Balig Sladeen joins us from there. Balig, President Biden is urging Israel not to attack any nuclear facilities or oil fields in Iran. What's Israel's position on that?
Well, the Israelis see it as that the only attack or the only strike that the U.S. president would give his blessing to is not taking any action, not doing any attack, because that's the way that the U.S. has been trying to limit Israeli escalation in the area in general, and not only about this Iranian attack. That's what happened after the attack last April by Iran, when the U.S. president said to Netanyahu, just don't do anything, take this achievement of defense and nothing else. That's how Israel sees it, and that doesn't mean, of course, that Israel won't take any action or will follow in 100% what the U.S. president is advising here. But there will be, of course, considerations, because at this time, they know, the Israelis know that any action taken against Iran would affect the U.S. Of course, they would affect the possibility of escalation against U.S. bases in the area. And of course, they will need the U.S. to defend them in case Iran strikes back at Israel. That's what we also could understand from the call between the Defense Minister Yoav Gallant and his counterpart Lloyd Austin after the assassination of Hassan Nasrallah, when Austin was astonished by that information that wasn't given to the U.S. before the assassination.
In any case, Israel is expected to retaliate for the recent Iranian missile barrage. What could that retaliation look like then?
Well, today in the morning, ABC reported that although the Israeli side didn't give clarification for how the response would be to the U.S. president, but the Americans were satisfied about their about the Israeli intention not to strike the nuclear facilities and the oil facilities, or at least take the advice in consideration, because, again, the effect that could reach the U.S. bases in the area. That means that the Israeli strike could reach a conventional military sites inside Iran, could be also trying to assassinate people that are responsible for the missiles attack last week in Iran in the Revolutionary Guard Corps, and also some government symbols or regime symbols inside Iran, in order to deter Iran from striking back, in order to affect the situation here, where Israel wants to keep its image as the victor here, the winner here in this conflict, after the Iranian response and after what happened to Hezbollah in the past 3 weeks.
Balig, thank you very much. That was journalist Balig Sladeen in Tel Aviv.
Thank you.